Welcome to another VectorTuts screencast. My name is Cheryl Graham and I'm going to take you through this tutorial by Saurabh Sharma called How to Create a Vector Series of Linear Effects. It's a really interesting way to do lots of different things. Here are some of the preview images we'll see, kind of a hair effect and some knife scratches. And please download the source files if you're a VectorTuts member. So let's get started. The first thing we'll do is create a spiral, and that tool is underneath the line segment tool. Click once on the artboard to bring up the options. I'm going to create a fairly large spiral with 200 segments going in that direction. Click OK. There it is. Now we'll add some effects. Go up to the Effect menu, Distort and Transform to Roughen. I'm going to make the size 4%. Keep the radial button on relative and put a detail of 30 with smooth points. Click OK. I'm going to add another one on top of that. Go back up to Distort and Transform and this time choose Tweak. I'm going to put 30% in the amount on both the horizontal and the vertical fields, and everything else can stay the same. And now we have a big tangled mess of hair. It's still a live effect, as you can see by showing it in outline mode and in the appearance panel. So just go to Object, Expand Appearance. Now we're going to add one more effect to this. Go back to the Effect menu, choose Distort and Transform Zigzag this time. I'll enter 6 pixels for the size. Leave this button at absolute. I'll have smooth points and 6 ridges per segment. And there is a curly mess of hair. You can experiment with different point sizes for the stroke. I'll just change this to a half point now. And right now I need to make a copy of this before we go any further, so I'll just Option drag this and set it to the side. Okay, so now go up to Object, Expand Appearance, and I'm going to make a few copies of this object by option dragging. I'll change this one to 90% black and just keep making copies like so. I filled the entire artboard with copies of this hair object, and now I'm going to mask it off by using a rectangle. I'll just draw that on top of everything. Select all, then go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And that'll give us a nice tidy square filled with the hair. The next effect we can make with this object is a spiderweb effect, and you can see that the zigzag effect is still live, so that means I can click it in the appearance panel and change its options. I'll change the points from smooth to corner, which will give us straight lines. And then I'll make the stroke white instead of black. And if I put a black or dark background below it, it starts to look like a spider web. You can move this around, of course, change the point size. I'll go up to 0.25 and, of course, enlarge it and make copies to get the look that you want. Now we're going to make a knife scratches effect. I'll take the spiderweb object that I created previously and just drag a few copies around the artboard to fill the background with straight lines. I'm just going to select these all and reduce the point size, and then I've got this orange background that goes behind them, and I'll select the lines, reduce the opacity to 80% and change the blending mode to overlay. And now it looks like a surface that has been scratched repeatedly with a knife. I'll make a clipping mask as before to tidy up the edges. Now we're going to make some grunge. Select the expanded spiderweb object from before and go to Pathfinder Divide. That will separate these out into individual shapes. Next, fill the shapes with a color, in this case black, and then go to Object, Ungroup, because we want to make each shape separate or disassociated from the other. Now select them all and go to Object, Transform, Transform Each. This will apply the transformation to every object individually rather than as a whole. I'm going to move and rotate each object and click Random, which will give us a lot of grunge. You can see that there are lots and lots of objects in this grunge. So one thing that you should keep an eye on is the Document Info panel, which is underneath the Window menu. Make sure that Objects is selected on the flyout menu. And as you can see, this illustration contains over 50,000 paths and 206,000 points. Depending on the speed of your computer, it might have difficulty displaying such a large number of objects. Here are some examples of what you can do with these effects that you've just learned. In this example, I've made a composition notebook like the ones you see at school. Here I've filled each shape with a linear gradient, or you can use a radial gradient for some funky backgrounds. Here I've taken the squiggly line from the hair effect and applied a snowflake scatter brush. Here's that same stroke with an art brush applied, another scatter brush, this time red ink splats, yet another, and another, and you can see that this has infinite possibilities. Thank you for watching.